Okay, so those of you who know me or are subscribed to the channel know that I am primarily a guitarist and audio engineer. But musically, I've got a lot of different interests. I started on trumpet, picked up bass guitar in college, and there's a lot of instruments that I just find interesting. And there's one in particular that's extremely challenging to learn, but that I really want to dive into. And that's violin. But it's been a challenge. I still kind of suck. But I think I found a tool to maybe help me bridge that gap and get over the hurdle to where I can really start sounding decent. Let's check it out. You silly mutt. So, violin. I've always loved the instrument, especially, and this is me being a total literature nerd, but, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes series. Sherlock was a violin player, and I always thought that was super neat. And then whenever I was in college, as an English major and a music minor, I took a semester of violin and really enjoyed the instrument. I never got particularly good, but I had a lot of fun. And it's an instrument that, if you don't play well, sounds absolutely hideous, but if you play really well, it sounds beautiful. And so I picked up a violin from Fiddler Man, and have been trying to pick it up again. But it's been really slow going, and I still sound pretty horrible. Just being completely honest here. I've been able to use it in some of my videos where I did, like, for my original music, where I programmed out some orchestra pieces and was able to kind of figure out the notes and mime them, but getting them to sound right, not quite there yet. But part of the issue is with the violin not being a fretted instrument and me being so used to fretted instruments, it's been difficult to learn. And I did find something online that I thought might help, which is this. Let me get this up here in the... This is the Fiddle Fretter, which you can order at thefrettedfiddle.com. And there's this the guy who makes it. It's just this one dude and his family, who are up in Nova Scotia, Canada, who are making these. His name is Peter Stoney, and it was really cool. These came with, like, his story. But anyway, so the idea is it's basically a sticker that puts frets on your violin fretboard or fingerboard without the need for, sawing and doing any sort of damaging stuff. So you can just tape or, drop this sticker on your fingerboard and have frets on your violin, which a lot of classically trained violinists will consider that to be a travesty and lazy and say you just need to learn where to put your fingers. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but different strokes for different folks. And some of us, and this guy was a similar story, right? He was a guitarist and mandolin and banjo player, so used to working with frets. Same thing here, right? I'm a guitar player, played some electric bass. Like, I am used to frets. And so for those of us who aren't trying to be the next classically trained violinist, we're not trying to play in a symphony orchestra, this could be pretty cool and make it easier for me to just be able to play and play in tune with decent intonation, and be able to focus on things like bowing technique that will make my playing better, so that I can get to a point where I can start playing on my recordings and really start having fun with the instrument at an earlier point. So we are going to slap this on to my violin and see how it works. Okay, so let's get started. So here I've got my Fiddlerman violin. Really nice instrument. I've been really happy with it. And I've got my fiddle fretter. So I read the instructions and loosened the strings a little bit. Not enough so that the bridge falls out. The instructions, like I saw some videos online where people completely loosen the strings all the way. However, I'm a little bit nervous as a beginner violin player at getting that bridge back in place, so I'm not doing that. But I did wipe down the fingerboard pretty good, get that cleaned up, and so now it says to remove this backing. And we are going to... So we've got to get this up under here. Keeping it elevated so it doesn't stick. And get it. There we go. Now that's looking a little better. Alright, we want this lined up. Okay, we're going to get this lined up perfectly with the nut. A little bit even there. Okay. Let's see. What do you think, guys? Do okay on that? So with that done, I'm supposed to carefully remove this. With everything in place, we should be able to just gently press and mold that to the fingerboard. Well, it's a little uneven, but luckily the instructions say that this should easily be removable with tweezers. Now here's what I'm finding. Okay, so as I'm trying to get this up with the tweezers are grabbing, so it looks like this is a 3-layer process basically. So you've got the initial tape on the bottom that's colored to look like a fingerboard, and then the wires are laid over that, and then there's another plastic layer that goes over it to secure the wires in place. So I've got to be careful with is as I'm trying to lift up the sticker, my tweezers are grabbing that top plastic layer. See, it's doing that on both sides. Okay, and that's just going to separate those two layers, and then the wire held between them is just easily going to slip off. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so this is what we end up with. I didn't get the sticker exactly even on both sides down here. So you can probably see it better in this camera. So there's just a little bit more gap on this side and this side, which could potentially affect intonation. But for the most part, I mean, you don't do bends or anything on a violin, and so when I push down the string, it's on there. So long as the frets themselves aren't at too much of an angle, any intonation issues should be minor. But only one way to see, and that's to tune it up and find out. Okay, so it's done. It's installed. It's mostly tuned up. So I guess the only thing we can do is to see how it works. Now, fair warning, I'm a beginner. This is probably not going to sound good, but we shall see if the fiddle fretter at least helps. Well, how about that? If I am just giving an initial impression, I would say it helps. And there's the visual aspect of it too, right? So there's typically with beginners, they teach you to put like dots on your violin for the different finger positions, which I did have for a little bit, and eventually just decided to take them off. They weren't really helping, and I didn't really get them in exactly the right position, so it was just kind of pointless for me. They make different like stickers that operate a lot like this, but it's a flat sticker. But I looked at those, and I really didn't like how they looked. This at least looks mostly like a fretted instrument. There's a little bit of a gloss from that top layer that's holding the wires on, but like it still looks nice to me. Only when you get close can you look at that and go, maybe that's a little wonky. But overall, I like the appearance of it. I do think it helped. Not only it gives me a visual cue for where my fingers need to land. They look like frets, so it's something that I'm familiar with. That helps. And not only that, but so long as I get my finger in generally the right position, kind of close to the fret, like you would if you were playing any other fretted instrument, then it's any little, slight deviances are going to be corrected. So, would a professional violinist or someone who really knows what they're doing care for this? Maybe not, probably not. For me, who just needs to be able to play a little violin every now and then and have fun and play in tune without tons and tons of effort and years of practice, that's pretty cool. I think I'm going to have fun with this. I really do. But anyway, leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on the fiddle fretter? Have you used one? Have you looked at them? Have you been curious? Do you have any experience with fretted instruments like this? A fretted violin, fretted viola, and how those work compared to classically designed fingerboards? I'd be interested to hear all of your thoughts. As usual, there'll be links in the description below to my website as well as the merch store and to the fiddle fretter and Fiddler Man, so that y'all can check out the equipment that I used in this video. So be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And there is a thing that I have set up. I need to tell you guys about this. So I did a update video that is set up to only show up on the channel homepage for subscribers. So be sure to stop by the homepage and check that out. It's a little thing that I'm testing out, and you can let me know how it's working, where people who aren't subscribed, who land on the channel homepage, will see one video that's kind of a standard welcome message. And then those of you who are subscribed, when you come to the channel homepage, you will see an update video for what's going on this month and what's coming the next month. So I'm going to experiment with that for a couple months and see how it works. So make sure you go by there, check it out, and let me know how it works for you. But anyway, as always, I appreciate you guys. You are awesome, and have a good one.